All right, Ms. Burdick, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mrs. Anthony.
Good morning.
When we left off on Saturday, we were talking about July 3rd of 2008. Do you recall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In the evening hours on that date, you posted a paragraph on MySpace, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to your daughter, Casey, about what you had posted on MySpace?
Yes, I did.
Right. Was it that same day, or was it a period of time after that?
It was either the next day. I believe it was the following day. I know I didn't speak with her since I spoke with her like at 3 o'clock that afternoon on the phone. I hadn't spoken with her.
Did you talk with her about the issues and feelings that you expressed in the posting?
Yes, I did.
All right. Did you express to her your feeling that Caylee was missing and you didn't know why?
And that was a figure of speech. She was missing in my heart. And, Casey and I spoke about, why I wrote what I did.
Okay. Now, you did not know at that point on July 3rd that Caylee was not with Casey, correct?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Did you speak with Casey about your feeling that she had betrayed you?
Yes, I did.
And what was her response to your discussion about Casey betraying you?
She explained to me that she needed some time away and that she was not upset with me and she was not punishing me by not letting me speak with Caylee. She felt that she needed some time to sort some things out, and she explained to me that seeing Jeff again rekindled a lot of her feelings and emotions, and she explained to me that someday, I'm going to have to go through that empty nest syndrome with her and Caylee. And so she explained to me, that how much she loved me and that, that she wasn't trying to get me upset. It was just she wanted to work things out in her mind. And I needed to get used to the fact that someday she was going to be moving out and be her own person. And I realized that I was being selfish at that point. And so I quit questioning her.
All right. Now, what she told you was that she was pursuing a relationship with what you thought was a wealthy man who lived out of town.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at that point, once she tells this to you, you decide to stop questioning her about her whereabouts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The issues and feelings that you posted and then discussed with her predated June 16th, 2008, correct?
The feelings that I spoke about was everything up until July 3rd, just the feelings. I felt betrayed that day because I found out she had lied to me.
Okay. But you also discussed with her your feelings that she was jealous of you.
That was my interpretation.
Leading.
I asked for the court.
Overruled.
Did you discuss with her your feelings?
Leading as to outside of the scope of what was previously agreed upon on leading.
Okay, overruled.
Did you discuss with her your feelings that she was jealous of you in some fashion?
It was brought up to me by her ex-fiance, Jesse Grund, when they were dating or engaged.
Sustained.
Did you discuss that with Casey?
Yes, I
That
did.
you had these feelings that you thought she was jealous of you?
Yes.
Okay. Did she deny that?
Yes.
Did you discuss with her that she had left without warning?
Yes.
Okay. Did she tell you that that wasn't true? That there was some warning?
Well, no, she said she left without telling me. I mean, that was the whole purpose of me being upset with her on the phone at 3 o'clock that afternoon.
Did you discuss with her your issue or feeling that she left without warning even though you had been the one to raise, feed, clothe, shelter, and pay the bills for Caylee?
Leading
Overruled.
way outside the scope of what was agreed upon.
Overruled.
Did you discuss that issue with her?
Yes, I did.
And?
And again, that was, I think I was making, my whole purpose of writing the letter was I didn't want to go into it on the phone with her. So I thought writing my feelings down, maybe it would make an impact on her, how she made me feel those last few days, finding out that she had lied to me, that she was
Okay.
not in Orlando.
All right. Did you discuss with her your feeling that you had heard she felt you were controlling her life?
I don't remember speaking about me controlling her life, no.
Okay. So after you talked, or during the time that you talked to your daughter about the feelings that you expressed, did the conversation conclude with her telling you she does need her space?
Yes.
Okay. So after having that discussion on July 3rd, well, a few days after July 3rd, you said, did you back off?
I backed off, but I still persisted on, I learned how to text during that time. So I started texting her just to make sure that everything was okay. And I'd leave messages and then she'd call me back. I just wanted to, talk to her at least every day to make sure she was okay. And I did persist every day asking if I could speak with Caylee because I miss hearing her little voice.
Right. And were you given an opportunity to speak with Caylee at all?
No.
Okay. Were you told at that point where Caylee was?
Yes.
What were you told?
I was told at various times that either Caylee was napping or with Jeff's mother and Zachary, maybe at the beach in Jacksonville, on a boat, just various places.
Based on your conversations then with your daughter, did you have some expectation as to when she was going to return from Jacksonville?
Yes, at one point, I kind of thought she was going to come home during that weekend after the 4th of July. And then I believe that's when she told me that there was something wrong with the Pontiac, that, her boyfriend Jeff was going to, take it to his mechanic and have him look at it. She thought that the gas gauge was broken or something on it.
Okay, her car.
Her car.
All right. So did that necessitate her staying out of town based on what you were told?
Yes.
Okay, for how long?
I believe it turned into like Monday or Tuesday because they had to order a part of some sort. Plus, we knew that Casey needed to get her brakes done. We had been mentioning it to her that it was about time that she, get those checked and redone. So, I don't really know a lot about cars, and I was the one that spoke to Casey every day. So I just assumed that that was correct.
Did you share with your husband, George, that you were speaking to Casey on a regular basis?
Oh, absolutely. He inquired every day if I had spoken to her or not. And I'm the one that told George to leave her be, just to let her go,
All right. So after being told that the car was going to need some repair, did you have some other expectation as to when she was going to be coming back to Orlando?
Yes. Again, that following weekend, the weekend after July 4th, we had expected her to come home And then I remember on that Sunday receiving a text. George and I were in Walmart just getting some things, and I received a text from her saying that Jules was getting married. And Jules is Jeff's mother. And so they were going to stay for the wedding. It was an impromptu thing, and it was going to be at the chaplain, with the chaplain. I guess Jules had cancer, and they were going to get married at the hospital chapel, and then she would be home either Monday or Tuesday.
All right. Now, at this point, we're talking about Monday, July 14th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you see her then on Monday, July 14th?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Do you know where she was?
She told me she was in Jacksonville and that she and Jeff were getting the car packed and ready to go. Jeff was going to come back down to Orlando, and they were going to caravan back. So they were, loading her car and Jeff's car, and then they were going to try to leave at some point and be home on Tuesday.
Tuesday, July 15th.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, on Sunday, the 13th, were you and your husband working in the yard?
Yes, later that day when we got back from doing errands and such, George and I were out front working in the yard. We had planted new sod in the strip between the sidewalk and the street. We had planted new sod there, and George was watering that. We're considering putting plants and stuff in that area, and then nixed the idea, thinking that if someone, trampled it or backed into it or whatever with a car. So I was out weeding in the front, and George was off to the side, and I noticed that there was a notice taped to the front glass door, and it was kind of hard to see because our door is it's not really a peach, but it's a light pink color.
Overall.
You were talking about the difficulty of being able to see the notice that was on the door.
Yes, ma'am.
Why was it difficult?
Well, in the afternoon, we get the afternoon sun in the front of the house, and there's a glare usually off the glass. And I usually have a wreath or something on the front door, or a plaque or something. And the notice kind of blended in with the door, but the reflection, as I worked closer, I could see it. And I went ahead and took it off at that point.
Right. Do you have any indication, or did you have any indication at that time how long that notice had even been there? I
believe it was put there either Thursday or Friday.
Why do you believe that?
Because usually they're marked, and I believe I saw either the 10th or the 11th date on when it was posted on there.
Okay. When you come in and out of your house, what do you use?
The garage door.
Okay. Other than some date indicators on the notice, did it give you any idea what it was about or who it was from?
It said it was a certified letter, and it had Johnson's. And when I read it, I didn't know anybody the name of Johnson or Johnson's company, so I went over to George and showed him the notice, and he said he had no clue who Johnson's was. So, he said, well, I'll just pick it up, tomorrow, which would have been Monday, on my way to work.
All right. Did your husband start a new job a job with a new employer on Monday, July 14th?
Yes, he had done some orientation with them and had just started with this new job.
Okay. Since you were expecting Casey and Jeff on July 15th, did you think that she was coming right to your home at some particular time of day?
Well, I figured at some point she'd be home. Jacksonville's not that long of a drive to Orlando, so I figured by noon, if they left in the morning, that they would be home sometime in the afternoon.
Okay. Did you go to work that day?
Yes, I did.
Do you know if your husband was scheduled to work that day, July 15th?
Yes, he was.
What shift?
3 to 11.
At some point, did you learn that your husband had gone to the post office to pick up the certified letter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know when that occurred?
Around lunchtime sometime,
On,
the 15th of July.
okay. Did he call you at your office to tell you what the letter was about?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
All right. Did he tell you that the car, Casey's car, was in Orlando
Yes, ma'am, he did.
at a tow yard?
Yes.
After receiving that information, did you attempt to contact your daughter?
Yes, I did.
Did you get a hold of her?
Yes, I did.
What did she tell you about the car being in Orlando?
I told her that she had a lot of explaining to do, that her car, from what I had found out at that point, the car had been towed from a facility. I wasn't sure at that point what facility, and had been there for a couple weeks. So I said she had a lot of explaining to do.
Did she explain?
No.
Okay. Did you tell her that you were going to call her back or that she needs to come home immediately?
Yes, I pretty much in essence said that she needed to, to be home so that we could talk this out.
So what did you do next?
Well, when George got the certified letter, he went directly down to the Johnson's tow yard, and they handed him a receipt and said that it was like $488 and some change. And he said since both of our names was on the title, that we both had to go down there. So I went ahead and stopped and got $500 out of the ATM and met George at the house so that, one of us could drive her car home.
So you left work about what time?
I didn't look at the clock. I just left after he went down to the, within minutes of him going to the post office, he was at the tow yard because it's, not that far away. So I would say maybe if I had to guess, sometime maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock.
All right. So you met your husband at the house and the two of you went in one car
Yes, ma'am.
to the tow yard. Right. Did you get any access to the car while you were at the tow yard?
I did not. I was close to the car when George came around after he, was able to drive it. He came back around and I was waiting for him because it was raining and I had my window down. And he said, "We need to get home right now. This car stinks and, it's raining and let's, I'm going." He, in other words, he just said, "Let's not chit chat. Let's get home."
All right. Were you able to detect an odor at that point?
No, I was not.
Okay. So where did you go from there?
We drove back to our home and George drove the car right into the garage and parked on the right-hand side of the garage, my normal spot. Pulled the car right into the garage, and then I left my car out.
All right. Now, you indicated it was raining.
Yes, it wasn't raining very hard. It was kind of like a misty rain.
Once the car is in the garage, do you access it in some fashion?
Yes, as soon as I got out of the car, my car, George was already out of the car, and I could, as I walked up to the car, I could smell the car. And
What did you say?
I said, "Oh my gosh, what,
I asked her what she said.
Overruled.
I said, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong with the car?" And George proceeded to tell me that excuse me, okay,
That's what
got
Ms.
you,
Anthony said.
got you.
All right. Did you make some comment at that point about the smell?
Yeah, I said it smelled like something had died in the car.
Okay. Did you learn about any garbage being in the trunk at some point?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So what did you do, if anything, to the car?
It was after George went to work. I encouraged him to go because it was getting close to between 2 and 2:30. And we had opened all the trunk, the hood of the car. George took the battery out of the car because we were afraid that Casey might come home and take the car and we wouldn't be able to speak with her. So I went ahead and noted that Casey's purse was on the front seat and that Caylee's baby doll, her favorite doll was in the car seat, like it was sitting where Caylee would have sat. And I noticed Caylee's backpack in the trunk of the car. And I noticed some clothes and some shoes of Casey's. So what I did is I took Caylee's doll out of the car. And I took the backpack out of the car. And I took Casey's purse out of the car and a pair of slacks. I left the shoes, and I think there was a blue plastic collapsible basket that we kept in the back of our vehicle, like for groceries or just odds and ends. We keep them in all of our vehicles. And I think there was a belt and some odds and ends in there. I left the stuff that was in the trunk except for Caylee's backpack. I took that out. And Caylee's doll smelled like the car, so I took it out. And in our garage, we have a ice chest. And I set the doll down, and I went and got a Clorox wipe and wiped the face and the hands. And the body is soft, so it smelled pretty bad. So I went and got some Febreze, and I sprayed the doll. And I sprayed Febreze all through the car, thinking that that might help the odor. I sprayed the front and the back. I used pretty much a whole can of Febreze.
All right. Now, let me just stop you there. At that time, you indicated that you said to your husband what died.
Yes.
Okay. The smell in the car, was that a smell that you recognized?
The smell in the car was like something I had never, it was pretty strong. I mean, I use that expression, what died, and at that point I never put, anybody in the trunk of the car or in the car. I was satisfied with what George had told me happened at the tow yard.
All right. Now, you have a nursing background, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had the experience of being exposed to either rotting or decomposing flesh?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What is your experience in that area?
I debride a lot of very bad wounds and work with a lot of patients who have amputees, and a lot of times their tissue starts to rot. And I remember one experience as a student nurse that we did get to go to the morgue and see some bodies that had come in that had been out there for a while.
All right. Now, you said that you used the expression, what died, with your husband. All right. At that point, were you considering that something died in the car?
No. At that point, I did not.
You said that you encouraged George, your husband, to go to work. Did you see whether or not he took any action as it relates to the car?
No, no, ma'am. I was pretty much in the garage the whole time that George was home. He went inside to get his things and then he left.
All right. If I may have states D for identification. The photo marked D for identification, what do you recognize that to be?
The Pontiac Sunfire that Casey was using. It's the back end view.
All right. At this point, Your Honor, we would introduce D for identification into evidence and seek permission to appropriately publish.
Okay, the defense is previously stipulated to this. It will be introduced as states numbered. You may publish.
If I may show you what's been marked as E for identification.
Huh? Is it coming up again? Okay, let's take a brief recess, please. Okay, you may continue.
Thank you. Mrs. Anthony, we're going to look at what has been introduced as 47 in evidence. And I've been told to give it a second. All right. What is it that is being shown in 47 in evidence?
The back of the Pontiac Sunfire.
I'll unpublish that one and ask for E for identification. And I'm showing you what has been marked as E for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes, that's the front view of the Pontiac Sunfire.
Does that photograph fairly and accurately represent the way that the Sunfire looked back in July of 2008?
Yes, except for the writing on the windshield and the yellow tape on the
All right.
hood.
The car itself.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce E for identification into evidence.
What says the defense?
No objection, sir.
It will be received in evidence as states numbered.
Permission to publish.
You may publish.
Okay. You testified this is the front of the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll unpublish that, and if I could have F for identification. Do you recognize what's shown in that photograph? I'm sorry.
It's the driver's side view of the Pontiac Sunfire.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the vehicle in July of 2008?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce F for identification into evidence.
What says the defense?
No objection, sir.
Be received in evidence as states numbered.
And permission to publish to the
You
jury.
may publish.
If I could have H for identification. Ma'am, do you see H for identification?
Yes, that's looking in the front interior of the car, the Pontiac Sunfire, through the passenger side.
All right. You had mentioned when you first had access to the vehicle that there were some items in the front. Do you see those items on the seat, or were items removed?
There was another item that was in the passenger seat that I removed. That was Casey's work purse.
Aside from that item, were the items that are shown in the photograph on the front seat whenever you first had access to the car?
Yes, the purse was covering those items, and I saw those after I removed the purse.
All right. Does that photograph then fairly and accurately depict the condition of the front seat with the exception of the work purse that you mentioned?
I think there was I think I could see one of my steak knives.
Hold on. Aside from the things that I mentioned, the work purse, is that what was there?
Yes,
Okay. Is the photograph fair and accurate depiction of the interior of the car?
missing one other item. That
Okay. Is the photograph a fair and accurate depiction of what we had discussed was remaining in the car?
Yes,
Okay. Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce H for identification into evidence.
What says the defense?
We have no objections. However, we think a sidebar is required.
If you have no objections, why is there a necessity for a sidebar?
In reference to some testimony.
Okay, it will be admitted in the evidence approach. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're hereby instructed to disregard the testimony regarding one of my steak knives that was mentioned by Miss Anthony concerning the photograph. You may continue.
Your Honor, is F for identification, I'm sorry, I believe that's H for identification introduced into evidence?
Yes, it is.
And permission to publish that to the jury. May I have I for identification? All right, Mrs. Anthony, I'm going to show you what's already been introduced into evidence as states 35. And permission to publish during the testimony since it's already been introduced. All right, Mrs. Anthony, do you see the items?
yes, ma'am.
Were those items in the vehicle when you first accessed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you had mentioned that there were some other items in, which part of the vehicle is this?
The back seat of the Sunfire looking from the passenger side.
All right. You had mentioned that there were some other items in the back seat. What was that?
On the back seat, covering the shoes, was a pair of Casey's dress slacks. And in the seat well on the passenger side behind the driver, or the the back seat behind the driver, there was a pair of Casey's boots, dress boots.
All right, so you removed the boots and you removed the slacks?
I did not remove the boots.
Oh, you did not remove these. You removed the slacks.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do with those?
They also had the same odor that of the car. So I went ahead and put them in the laundry.
Okay. Your laundry is right there in the garage?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to show you what's been marked as L for identification. Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Is that photograph a fair and accurate depiction of of a portion of the vehicle as you found it on July 15th of 2008.
And that picture's taken after, because the boots were in the well and the dryer sheet was not there. I placed that there.
Okay. Aside from the changes that you've made, accurately show the back seat?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mrs. Anthony, Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce L for identification into evidence.
What says the defense?
No objections there.
Be admitted in evidence. It states numbered.
Mrs. Anthony, Your Honor, may I publish?
You may.
You indicated that the boots that are shown on the back seat were in a different part of the car when you first accessed it.
Yes, ma'am.
Were they on the floorboard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You also mentioned a dryer sheet.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you put that dryer sheet there?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Do you remember having a deposition taken on July 29th of 2009?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. At that point, you were sworn to tell the truth, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. You remember that I was there asking questions. Counsel for your daughter was there as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember giving a different response as to whether or not you put the dryer sheet in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
At that point in time, did you say that you put the dryer sheet in the car?
At that point in time, I couldn't remember if I did or not.
All right. If I may approach the witness.
You may.
Page 323,
Which volume? Volume 1?
volume 2, 2 of 2.
What page?
Page 323, lines 15 through 25.
You may approach.
We would object for the impeachment.
Overrule.
If you could read lines 15 to 25 to yourself. Does that refresh your recollection as to whether or not you actually put the dryer sheet in the back seat of the car?
Overrule.
At that time, when I made the statement that I did not know, at that time, I did not remember. Since then, I've had flashbacks of that day. And on that day of my deposition, I was under new medication, and I explained to everybody before we started the deposition that it was a very stressful day and that my medicines, I was in transition between two medications, and that I was going to do the best that I could with
Okay.
the memory I had at that time.
Mrs. Anthony, at the time of your deposition, did you not indicate that you did not know of a reason why you would have put a dryer sheet in the car?
Impeachment.
Overrule.
At the time, all I remember the day of my deposition is that I was tired, had not been sleeping, and very emotional. And I did not at that time remember why or doing so. Later on, I have had flashbacks, and a lot of my memory has increased.
Mrs. Anthony, do you remember at the beginning of your deposition, me asking if there was anything that was affecting your ability to remember or recall? Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
All right. And do you remember me asking if you felt that it was okay to go forward with the deposition, even given that you had medication at that time?
Yes, ma'am, and we discussed that that was the best we were going to get at that point from me.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm going to show you what's been marked as V for identification. Tell me if you recognize what is shown in V.
It's the blue collapsible bin from the trunk of Casey's car. It has Casey's doll, Kaylee's doll, Casey's purse, and Kaylee's backpack. And there's a hanger at the bottom of the basket.
All right. Are these items that you turned over to the Orange County Sheriff?
Yes, ma'am.
Are these items that were in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The doll that is on top, is that the doll that you had indicated in your earlier testimony was in the car seat?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this photograph fairly and accurately depict the bin and other items that were removed from the car and subsequently turned over to the Orange County Sheriff?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce V for identification into evidence.
No objection, sir.
It will be received in evidence as states numbered.
Permission to publish to the.
You may publish.
Mrs. Anthony, aside from wiping down the doll with a Clorox wipe, did you do anything with the work purse that is in the blue bin?
Later that evening, after I came back from work, I went through Casey's purse because I hadn't heard back from Casey, and she wasn't returning my calls, and I found the yellow envelope that was inside her purse. And I removed the items inside the envelope, and they were resumes of her friend Amy Huizenga.
Is
And
there contact information for Amy Huizenga on that resume?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you do anything with the backpack that you have indicated is at the bottom of that blue bin?
I looked through the backpack just to see what was inside of it.
All right.
And I think that's all I did.
If I may have W for identification? Can you see W for identification, Mrs. Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Are the item, what is it a picture of?
The inside of Kaylee's backpack.
Right. Is that photograph fair and accurate representation of what you saw in the backpack in July of 2008?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce W for identification into evidence.
What says the defense?
No objection, sir.
We received in evidence as states numbered.
Permission to publish.
You may publish.
right, you said you looked through the backpack. Did you find anything and remove it?
Briefly, I took out her toothbrushes. We always had a toothbrush, like a comb and different things in one of the pouches. And I just went through and held some of Caylee's things just because, and then I placed them back where I found them.
Where was this item in the car?
In the trunk of the car.
On the floor of the trunk or inside something else?
I believe it was on the floor of the trunk.
The blue bin that we saw in 52 in evidence, where was that?
It was in the back of the car as well. Or in the trunk of the car as well.
Okay. What items were in the blue bin before you removed it?
Some hangers, plastic hanger.
Did you vacuum the trunk of the car?
No, I did not.
Did you otherwise clean it in any fashion aside from spraying Febreze?
I think I just kind of brushed my hand across some things and threw a couple little pieces of debris away.
All right, you had indicated that you went to work.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. When you went to work, in what condition did you leave the vehicle?
Left the car with all of the doors open, windows down, sunroof open, trunk and hood up. And it was left in the garage.
Okay. Did you close the garage door behind the car when you left and went to work?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. How long were you at work?
Oh, maybe an hour and a half, 2 at the most, but probably an hour and a half.
Right. While you were there, or when you were going there, did you make an attempt to contact your daughter, Casey?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to get a hold of her?
No, I was not.
Okay. Once you were at work for an hour and a half, you said you either ended your shift or decided to leave. What happened?
Well, when I got there, everybody knows I don't usually leave work in the middle of the day. So when I got back, I just kind of explained what was going on because I left abruptly. And I went back to my desk and tried to get a few things done so that I could get out of work. And I spoke to a couple coworkers about the car and, trying to find out what happened with Casey. And my immediate supervisor was telling me just go home. And I told her I needed to get a few things squared away because I had worked very hard on a project that I was, for Coumadin levels. And I was trying to make sure that the nurses had gotten the doses right for the patients that day. It was very important for me to get a few things done at my desk where I felt comfortable I could leave. And as I was wrapping some stuff up, my director came and said, why don't you just go home? We'll take care of whatever you need to do.
Had you told the people at your workplace that you hadn't seen Caylee for a month or more?
Well, they pretty much knew that I hadn't seen her because during that period of time I had, we always ask how our family is, and Caylee is always a subject of conversation with my coworkers and me. They watched Caylee grow up because she was always at my work. Casey was always dropping her off, or she'd just come for a visit, have lunch with me or whatever with Caylee. So everybody knew Caylee since she was a baby. And, of course I vented, how's your vacation? And I'd come in and say crappy because I didn't get to spend it with the girls. And,
Right.
so they were aware.
you said that you had discussed with your coworkers the condition of the car. Did you tell your coworkers that it smelled like something died in the car?
Yes, that was a figure of speech, that I said that it smelled like something, that the car smelled really bad. And I explained to them what George had told me while he was at Johnson's.
All right. So you did tell your coworkers that it smelled like something died in the car?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So once you were encouraged to leave by your supervisor, did you?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did you go home?
Yes, straight home.
Once you got home, is that when you looked through the work purse that you described earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Once you were home, did you make efforts to contact your daughter Casey?
Yes, I tried calling her again, and she still wouldn't answer. So I thought it was strange that Casey had Amy's information there, and I don't know what possessed me to call Amy rather than some of her other friends, but I did. Something just told me to call Amy.
You called Amy. In the meantime, had you sent a text to your daughter that there was a major problem that she needed to get in touch with you immediately?
Yes, I'd been trying to get a hold of her all day to find out why the car was at the tow yard, and obviously I realized that she was lying again where she was at.
All right. So when you made an effort to contact Amy, did you reach her?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Did you make arrangements to pick her up?
Yes, I did.
And did you do that? Did you
Yes,
pick her up?
Yes, I did.
Where did you pick her up from?
The Florida Mall.
And did you ask Amy to take you to Casey?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was she able to do that?
Yes, the reason I picked her up is because she explained to me that she had seen Casey a few hours prior, that Casey picked her up at the airport. And I told her that I hadn't seen Caylee and that Casey was lying to me, and I needed to find Casey to find out what was going on. So while we were driving, she said she knew exactly where she dropped Casey back off because she had loaned Casey her car during the time that she was in Puerto Rico.
All right. So where did she take you, or where did she direct you?
Yeah, I was just driving. She was just telling me where to go. And we went to University Avenue, Winter Park, a place, I can't even remember the name of his apartment complex, but she took me directly to Tony's apartment.
Are you talking about Tony Lazaro?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this somebody that you had met?
No.
So once you get to Tony Lazaro's apartment complex, where do you go?
Well, I was kind of shocked that Amy knew exactly where to go because she kind of indicated that she had just kind of dropped Casey off at the complex. But Amy seemed to know exactly which apartment, and it was in the back, and which floor. I mean, she just led me right up in a different, because where you park, there's a couple buildings, and she knew right where to maneuver right up to the apartment complex. And I followed her up to the second, I think it was the second floor. And we decided that Amy go to the door, and I just stayed in the hallway so that when Casey would come to the door, and see Amy.
All right. Now, you mentioned a hallway. Is this door open to the exterior or into an interior hallway?
It's outside. We climbed the outside staircase. And Tony's apartment, there was like a little balcony area. And I just stood kind of towards the stairwell.
Okay. So did you see Amy knock on the door and get a response?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did you see come to the door?
Well, I didn't see Casey at first. I heard her voice when the door was open, and then Amy kind of motioned for her to come out. And then Casey stepped outside, and that's when I popped around.
Okay. What did you say?
I just asked her what she was doing there, and I told her that she needed to talk to me, that we needed to talk. And
Did you see Caylee?
no.
Did you go into the apartment to look for Caylee?
As soon as I got to the, once Casey agreed with me to come with me, I asked where Caylee was, and she said she wasn't there. So
Did she tell you where she was?
she said she was with the nanny.
Okay.
And so I told Casey to get her things and come on. And when she went into the apartment, I stepped up and I could smell the cigarette smoke just emanated out of the apartment. And I didn't even take more than a step in. I knew Caylee wouldn't be in that environment. So I didn't even go in to look.
All right. So Casey told you that Caylee was at the nanny.
Yes.
What was your response to that?
Well, we're going to go get her because we have to all sit down and talk about what's going on.
Okay. And was Amy around for that?
Yes, Amy by then realized that I was quite upset, and she kind of already went back downstairs, and she was down back by my car.
Okay. Did Casey agree to go with you?
Reluctantly, but yes.
All right. Did she gather her things as you told her to?
No, she just put her sandals on and or her flip-flops on, and then she came with me. She didn't have her purse or her cell phone or anything with her.
Did she tell you that she was coming back to Tony's apartment?
Yeah, she had made the reference that she was going to come back to Tony's, and I told her that would be fine at some point, but not until we resolved everything that was going on, not until I had an explanation.
And not until you saw Caylee?
Right.
Okay. Does everyone get back into your car at that point?
Yes.
Or you're driving?
Yes, I'm driving. Casey sat in the front passenger seat, and Amy started to get in behind Casey, but realized Caylee's car seat that I had in my vehicle was there, so she ended up coming around the vehicle and getting in to the back seat behind me, and then we left.
All right. Did you continue to question Casey as soon as she got into your car about Caylee's whereabouts?
Yes, I did, and I realized that that wasn't an opportunity to really talk to Casey because Amy was in the car, and I didn't want to really embarrass Casey or Amy. So Amy gave me directions to take her home. So the conversation was very limited during that period of time.
All right. How about once Amy got out of the car? At that point, did you ask where Caylee was?
Yes, I dropped Amy off on the street. She said it would be fine for her to walk, and we kind of watched until we could see her get back to the condo or townhouse, whatever it is, because she was living with JP Chat and Ricardo Morales at that time. And I made a comment that that before we started to go, that she needed to start answering my questions. And she told me that she would take me to see Caylee, so we started to drive. And
Did she tell you to go anywhere specific?
we started driving around, and then Casey started making excuses why it would not be a good idea for me to go see Caylee. And I was getting very, very frustrated. And I was asking her questions about why the car was at the tow company. And
Did you get answers?
no, I didn't. We drove around for quite some time, and at one point she asked me to take her back to Tony's, and I told her she wasn't going anywhere until I got the answers. And I was driving closer towards our home because since I wasn't getting a specific location where to pick up Caylee, I just figured might as well head home. And as I was going down Pershing, I noted the Orlando police station that was on Pershing. And I told her that if she wasn't going to give me the answers, that I was going to get someone to help me get them.
All right. So at this point, you pulled into a substation for the Orlando Police Department on Pershing.
Yes, ma'am. And I pulled up to the door and started to get out of the car and realized that they closed at 5 p.m. and it was way after 5. So I just got back in the car and told Casey that this was her last chance to tell me what was going on. And she was trying to explain to me that we talked about issues that we were having, and we were kind of arguing a little bit in the car, and I wasn't getting the answers that I wanted, so I dialed 911 from the car.
Your Honor, at this point, counsel has the stipulation regarding the call.
You may. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to take a 15-minute recess at this time. So if you need your special one, this is a good time to take the special. I'm going to ask you not to discuss this case among yourselves. We'll take a 15-minute recess at this time. Miss Burdick, this is being offered to show exactly what?
Your Honor, in July of last year, we had a hearing regarding the admissibility of the 911 calls. It was our position that they were excited utterances. Ms. Anthony at that time gave testimony, as well as her son, regarding the context in which the calls were made. We had indicated that the calls, in addition to being excited utterances, it was our position that they were not hearsay at all because they weren't being offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. And after the conclusion of that hearing, the court entered orders as it relates to the admissibility of all the calls.
Okay. The long reason I actually am trying to fashion an instruction. This is what I propose. The evidence that you're about to hear is to be considered by you only as to Miss Cindy Anthony's state of mind and as an excited utterance at the time, and not for any other purpose, such as any alleged criminal act of the defendant. You are not to take into consideration those alleged criminal acts, i.e., quote, stolen car or money that she mentions.
At the end of at least one of, I believe it's this first 911 call, there are statements made of Miss Anthony's that were captured on the recording. And then, of course, on the third call that we plan to introduce, Ms. Anthony does get onto the phone with the operator, with the person from dispatch from Orange County Sheriff's Office, and made statements of her own as well in response to some of the questions posed. So the limiting instruction, I believe, would only apply to the first 2 calls, not the third. The third deals exclusively with the reporting of the child being kidnapped. I do not believe that there is any reference in that third call to the car or the money again. And I do have transcripts for the court reporter.
I will specifically mention stolen car and bank account.
Okay.
So the criminal acts will be specified.
Now, it is not my intent to introduce the transcript unless there's no objection. When the recordings are introduced per the stipulation, understanding there are objections, prior objections made by motion, we have the recording synced to a transcript for the jury to listen and watch. However, the transcripts that I have here, I do not intend to introduce into evidence unless there's no.
When you say they are synced to a transcript, what do you mean?
When
Superimposed over the,
the recording plays, the transcript will appear with a highlight as to the portion being spoken. Just a scrolling text. I know that administrative order requires that we provide copies of any tapes played to the court reporter. I do have those marked
Okay.
as exhibits, just so that the record is able to be clarified at some point as to what the jurors saw and heard.
okay. As to the limiting instructions, any objections from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Baez, I think that was what you requested.
Your Honor, we object to that part of the tape being played at all. I'm gathering that what you have done is crafted a hybrid of 2.4 of the standard.
To be honest with you, I didn't look at 2.4. But I can look at it.
Well, it's a wonderful coincidence, if not.
Two 2.4 has to do with so-called Williams rule evidence.
But if you started reading those first several words of exactly that.
Well, I sort of looked at 2.5, which follows that.
Except well, 5 talks about a conviction.
The only thing that we probably could use from 2.4 is,
An injury.
however, I can add, however, the defendant is not on trial for a crime, wrong, or act not included in the indictment. I can add that. Any objections?
May I see or hear the final product first?
Just a second. The evidence that you are about to hear is to be considered by you only as to Mrs. Cynthia Anthony's state of mind and as an excited utterance at the time, and not for any other purpose, such as any alleged criminal acts of the defendant, such as stolen car or bank accounts. However, the defendant is not on trial for any crime, wrong, or act that is not included in the indictment.
Well, I certainly think the court's special instruction is necessary if my basic objection is overruled, that is to introducing it at all in violation of 404, 401, 403. And so we maintain that objection, but notwithstanding that, I appreciate what you've done.
Okay. All right, let's return Ms. Anthony to the stand and bring the jury in once she's up on the stand. Okay, stay recognized, presence of jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defense?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Burdick, you may proceed.
Your Honor, at this time, we would seek to introduce States ML for identification into evidence.
Okay, noting previous objections which are placed on the record, it will be received in evidence of objections as states numbered. Ladies and gentlemen, I have two things to read to you. One is a stipulation dealing with the disc itself. On July 15, 2008, Cindy Anthony made a recorded call to 911 that was received by the Orlando Police Department at 20:09, 1800 hours. The recording is a true and accurate representation of the call. The parties have agreed to this fact, and it should be considered as true in your deliberations. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the evidence that you're about to receive through this 911 call is to be considered by you only as to Mrs. Cindy Anthony's state of mind and also as an excited utterance at the time, and not for any other purpose, such as any alleged criminal acts of the defendant, such as stolen car or a bank account. Remember, however, the defendant is not on trial for a crime, wrong, or act that is not included in the indictment. You may proceed to publish.
When police is sound, being recorded, I can help you.
Township Essential Weapons Closing and come on.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, I drove to the police department here on Pershing, but you guys are closed. I need to bring someone into the police department. Can you tell me where the closest one I can come into?
What are you trying to accomplish by bringing them to the station?
I have a 22-year-old person that has grand theft sitting in my auto with me.
So the 22-year-old person stole something?
Yes.
Is this a relative?
Yes.
Where did they steal it from?
My car and also money.
Okay, is this your son?
Daughter.
Okay, so your daughter stole money from your car?
No, my car was stolen. We retrieved it today. We found out where it was at. I've retrieved it. I've got that, and I've got affidavit for my banking account. I want to bring her in. I want to press charges.
Where did all of this happen?
Oh, it's been happening.
No, but I need to establish a jurisdiction is what I'm trying.
Oh, I live in Orlando.
Yeah, but what address did these thefts occur at?
Well, I guess my residence, I guess. 4937 Hope Spring Drive.
That's actually going to be in the jurisdiction of the sheriff's office, ma'am, not the Orlando Police Department.
All righty.
Let me transfer you over to the communications section for Orange County.
Okay. Now, is the Orlando Sheriff's Department the one on 436, is that open this afternoon, this evening?
The substation you're at on Pershing, if it's Orlando Police, we're open primarily during the day. But that's not the sheriff. That's city police, which does not have jurisdiction here.
And then there's the Sheriff's Department on 436.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer you to the sheriff's communications section, and you can determine that. Hold on.
Okay. Sure, my next thing will be down the trout thing, and we'll have a court order together. If that's what you want to say, we'll do it. And you'll never. That's not the way I want to do it. Well, then you have one more day. No, I'm not giving you another day. I've given you a month. All right, can we start?
Mrs. Anthony, did you stay there at that location on Pershing where you made the call?
No, I did not.
All right. Where did you go from there?
They told me either to go home or to drive to the side of the road and recall. So I figured I'm not going to do this at the side of the road. I drove home.
At any point, once you had your daughter Casey in the car, did you call your husband George?
No,
Okay. Did you call your son Lee?
no.
From that location on Pershing, you went back to your residence
Yes, ma'am.
directly?
Yes,
How long did it take you to get there?
just a few minutes. It's only like 1.5 miles, 2 miles away at the most.
Right. Once you arrived in your neighborhood, could you tell whether or not another member of your family had arrived at the house?
Just as I was approaching our subdivision, I received a phone call from my son, and Lee stated that his dad had told him that he needed to come home, and he informed me that he was at the house waiting for me, that something was going on. And I told him I'll be there in just a second because we're turning into the development now. I'll see him in a couple minutes, a couple seconds.
All right. And is that what you saw upon your arrival, your son Lee waiting at the house?
Yes, the garage door was open and Lee was standing in the driveway.
All right. When you arrived, did you pull into the driveway?
I pulled into the driveway, but I think I left my car out in the driveway.
Okay. And did everyone go into the house?
Yes, Casey immediately jumped out of the car and ran past her brother and went into the house, and Lee followed her in, and then I followed both of them into the house.
Okay. Once you got inside, what happened?
I think I briefly just kind of told Lee what was going on because he had no idea at that point. I just kind of explained to him that I needed some answers from his sister and that I was urgently trying to get her to take me to see Caylee, and that she was refusing to do so.
Did you immediately call the police from your home so that you could have the Orange County Sheriff's Office respond to you at that location?
No, because by talking to Lee, he thought that if we sat down together and she was, relaxed in the home, that maybe we could get some answers. So he wanted to try to talk to her. So that's what happened.
All right. Did the two of them speak alone? Or were you there?
I was there too. With three of us, we're kind of in a, like a 6-foot proximity of each other. Speaking, one of us was in the hallway, Casey's doorway, and in her room where we could all see each other and speak to each other.
Did you continue to insist that you wanted to know where your granddaughter was right then and there?
Yes. I mean, I wanted her to take me because she kept insisting that Caylee was spending the night with Zanny. And I said, well, she doesn't need to do that anymore. So we need to get her. And Casey kept insisting that Caylee would probably already be asleep by that time and she didn't want to disturb her, that we could go the next day. And I didn't care if we were up all night, if it disrupted Caylee's sleep, that I would stay up all night and not go to work the next day if it became an issue that Caylee wasn't able to sleep and someone wasn't going to get any sleep. I volunteered to be the one. I didn't care. I wanted to see Caylee.
All right. Did she tell you that she would take you to her at this point?
No, she continued to insist that it was not a good idea to get her that night. And I was getting more irritated and was not happy with that answer, that I threatened again to call the police. And I gave them a few more minutes to try to reason with the sister. And I just had enough of not hearing anything. So then I made another phone call to 911.
Your Honor, at this point in time, I would seek to introduce MM for identification into evidence. And there is a stipulation.
What says the defense noting previous objections?
Subject to all previous motions and objections, Judge.
Okay, it will be received in evidence as ladies and gentlemen, on July 15, 2008, Cindy Anthony made a recorded call to 911 that was received by the Orange County Sheriff at 20:44:30 hours. The recording is a true and accurate representation of the call. The parties have agreed to this fact, and it should be considered as true in your deliberations. You may publish.
Hello, the address of your emergency.
4937 Hope Spring Drive.
4937 Hope Spring
Drive, Orlando.
Okay, what's happening?
I have someone here that I need to be arrested in my home.
They're there right now?
A possible missing child. I have a 3-year-old that's been missing for a month.
A 3-year-old?
Yes.
Have you reported that?
I'm trying to do that now, ma'am.
Okay, what did the person do that you need arrested?
My daughter.
For what?
For stealing an auto and stealing money. I already spoke with someone. They said they would patch me through the Orlando Sheriff's Department and have a deputy here. I was in the car. I was going to drive her to the police station, and no one's open. They said they would bring a deputy to my home when I got home to call them.
So she stole your vehicle?
Yes.
When did she do that?
On the 30th. I just got it back from the impound. I'd like to speak to an officer. Can you have someone come out to my house?
Okay. Okay, I gotta ask you these questions so I can put them in the call, okay?
Okay.
30th of June?
Yes.
Okay, how old is your daughter?
22.
Okay, what's her name?
My name?
Her name.
Her name, Caylee Anthony. C-A-S-E-Y.
And your name?
Cynthia Anthony.
Cynthia, can I get a phone number that I can reach you at?
407-808-4731.
And you said you have the vehicle back?
Yes. I have the statement.
Casey's there right now?
Yes, I got her. I finally found her after a month. She's been missing for a month. I found her, but we can't find my granddaughter.
Okay, how tall is Casey?
5'1.5".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
And
Color hair?
brown.
What color shirt is she wearing?
White.
What color pants?
Oh, they're shorts. They're plaid. They're like pink and teal and white and black plaid.
Does she have any weapons on her?
No.
Is Casey not telling you where her daughter is?
Correct.
Okay, we'll have a deputy out to you as soon as one's available, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Same instruction be read.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the evidence that you've just heard is to be considered by you only as to Miss Cindy Anthony's state of mind and excited utterance at the time and not for any other purpose. You are not to take into consideration the alleged criminal acts of stolen car or money. Remember, the defendant is not on trial for a crime, wrong, or act that is not included in the indictment. You may continue.
Thank you. Mrs. Anthony, the car that you're referencing in that call, is that the Sunfire?
Yes, ma'am.
That is a car that your daughter had permission to have, correct?
Yes.
Did the police respond immediately to that second call that you made?
Not fast enough.
Okay. Do you know how much time passed between when you made that call and their arrival?
It seemed like forever.
Okay. Did you continue in the interim to try to speak with your daughter about your granddaughter's whereabouts?
I popped in from time to time. I was trying to stay close to the garage in case they came so I could hear them. So I was pacing back and forth between the hallway from the living room to the garage, into the living room to Casey's room, and back and forth. I was just pacing because I was getting angrier and angrier and more upset as I was waiting.
So you're trying to keep an eye out for the police at this point? Is Lee Anthony in the room where Casey Anthony is?
Yes, by this time, they're both in the room. And I think at some point Casey was sitting on her bed and Lee was leaning up against her dresser.
At any point, did you overhear your daughter make a statement to her brother about Caylee's whereabouts?
Yes.
What did you hear?
One of the times that I walked to the room, Casey was sitting on the floor crying, and I overheard her tell Lee that Caylee had been gone for 31 days and that Sandy had taken her.
How did you respond to that?
I lost it. I just went into the room and started yelling at Casey and said, what do you mean she's been gone? Why didn't you tell me? I swore at her and hit the bed and ran out and called the police again.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce what's been marked as MN for identification into evidence.
What says the defense, noting previous objections?
Subject to just previous motions and objections, Judge.
It be admitted into evidence over defense objections as states numbered.
And there is a stipulation as it relates to the accuracy as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will read to you the following stipulation. On July 15, 2008, Cindy Anthony made a recorded call to 911 that was received by the Orange County Sheriff's Office at 21:41:20 hours. The recording is a true and accurate representation of the call. The parties have agreed to this fact, and it should be considered as true in your deliberations. You may publish.
What's your emergency? I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff saying I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. Her mother finally admitted that she's been missing.
Okay, what is
here now?
Okay, what is the address that you're calling from?
4937 Hope Spring Drive. We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl.
4937 what?
Hope Spring, HOPESPRING Drive, Orlando. My daughter finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her.
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago that my daughter's been looking for. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. And she just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Caylee, Caylee Anthony.
Caylee Anthony?
Yes.
Okay, is she white, black, or Hispanic?
She's white.
How long has she been missing for?
I have not seen her since the 7th of June.
What is her date of birth?
2000, oh God, she's 3. She's 2005. So it's Caylee missing. Caylee's missing. They took her a month ago. She was missing for a month.
Okay, I understand. Can you calm down for me for just a minute and I need to know what's going on, okay? I'm gonna try and talk. Is your daughter there?
I'm on the phone with them.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her? Do you mind if I speak with her? Thank you.
I called them 2 hours ago. They haven't gotten here. She finally admitted to Daddy took her a month ago.
Ma'am.
Okay, they want to talk to you. Answer the question. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Well, can you tell me what's going on a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell me a little bit what's going on?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I've tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today, now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute.
Okay, did you guys call and report a vehicle stolen?
Yes, my mom did.
Okay, so there's been a vehicle stolen too?
No, this was my vehicle.
So what vehicle was stolen?
What vehicle was stolen?
It's a 98 Pontiac Sunfire.
Okay, I have deputies on the way to you right now for that. So now your 3-year-old daughter is missing. Caylee Anthony.
Yes.
White female.
Anthony. Yes, white female.
3 years old, 8/9/2005 is her date of birth?
Yes.
And you last saw her a month ago?
31 days. It's been 31 days.
Who has her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Who is that? Babysitter?
She's been my nanny for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which is stupid.
Okay. Can you give me the name of the nanny again? Like spell it out for me?
Zenaida, Zenaida.
Last name?
Fernandez. - Gonzalez. I think the officers are here.
The officers are there?
Yes.
Okay, hold on a second. Don't hang up with me yet. I need you. Okay.
Can I have a break, sir?
A drink? Okay, let's take a 5-minute recess.
All right, do you remember providing them with a written statement?
Yes, that was much later in the evening. Several hours after they were there.
Do you remember your daughter speaking to the police when they arrived?
I remember when they first arrived, she was on the phone with the dispatcher. And I remember walking the deputy into Casey's room so he could. And then I think the call ended when he started to talk to Casey.
The next day, did you turn your vehicle or the Sunfire over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office in an effort to gather what evidence was needed to locate your granddaughter, Caylee?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Did you also turn over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office the items that we saw in the photographs that you had removed from the car in an effort to locate your granddaughter, Caylee?
Yes, ma'am, all but her slacks. They didn't want her slacks that I had washed.
Did you eventually turn over the computer, the desktop computer that was in your home, to the Orange County Sheriff's Office in an effort to locate your granddaughter, Caylee?
Yes, the desktop computer was taken, I think, around the 17th, a few days later.
Did you turn over a laptop computer to the Orange County Sheriff's Office in an effort to assist in locating your granddaughter, Caylee?
Yes, we turned that over when we turned over the items that were taken out of the Pontiac Sunfire. We gave them my computer, my laptop.
All right. Did you also turn over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office items that you believed the nanny had had some contact with
Yes,
in an effort to locate your granddaughter, Caylee?
yes, that was much later as I would notice things around the house, because they said if there's anything that you can think of or whatever, and if I was cleaning and I'd see something, it would trigger something. I did turn other evidence over.
Did you turn over your cell phone to the Orange County Sheriff's Office in an effort to determine whether or not there was any evidence on there that could assist them in locating your granddaughter, Caylee?
The only time they never asked for my cell phone except one visit when I was there. We were going through a timeline, and there were some phone calls that I was receiving from people that were telling me different things, and I was explaining to them, so they wanted to see if they could get some of the messages off of my phone. So for a brief period of time, while I was at the Sheriff's Department, they took my phone for just maybe a half hour to an hour and then returned it back to me.
All right. What is the cell phone number that you had at that point?
Same one that I still have today.
What is it?
407-808-4731.
What is your home phone number that you had in June and July of 2008?
407-281-0646.
Did you eventually give samples of your DNA and hair to the Orange County Sheriff's Office in an effort to assist them in locating your granddaughter, Caylee?
Yes, sometime later I did, yes.
Did you set up a tip line so that people from around the country could call you with information about where your granddaughter Caylee may be located?
Yes, that was the efforts of my son that arranged. Lee worked with some people to set up a tip line, yes.
Did you set up a command center in a public shopping center to get the word out that your granddaughter Caylee was missing?
Yes, ma'am, our family did that.
On July 16th of 2008, did you receive a phone call from your daughter Casey at your home after she was arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce M.O. for identification into evidence, and there is a stipulation regarding that item as well.
What says the defense?
Subject to all previous motions and objections, Judge.
Okay. It'll be received in evidence of a defense objection as states numbered. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to read you the following stipulation. Caylee Anthony made a recorded call from the Orange County Sheriff's, from the Orange County Jail to her home on July 16, 2008 at 11:16 p.m. The recording is a true and accurate representation of the call. The parties have agreed to this fact, and it should be considered as true in your deliberations. You may publish.
Hello? Hello, this is a free call from Casey.
An inmate from the Orange County Correctional Center. For a rate quote, press 7. To accept this free call, press 0. To obtain a customer's... This call is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Casey? Mom. Hey, sweetie. Well, I just saw your nice little cameo on TV.
Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
Which one? I did 4 different ones, and I don't know. I haven't seen them all. I've only seen 1 or 2 so far.
You don't know what my involvement is and stuff?
Casey.
Mom.
What?
No.
I don't know what your involvement is, sweetheart. You're not telling me where she's at.
Because I don't fucking know where she's at. Are you kidding me?
Casey, don't waste your call to scream and holler at me.
Waste my call sitting in, the jail?
Whose fault is...
bunks are?
Whose fault is you sitting in the jail? You're blaming me that you're sitting in the jail?
Not
Blame
my
yourself
fault.
for telling lies. You mean it's not your fault? What do you mean it's not your fault, sweetheart? If you'd have told them the truth and not lied about everything, they wouldn't...
Do me a favor, just tell me what Tony's number is. I don't want to talk to you right now. Forget it.
I don't have his number.
We'll get it from Lee because I know Lee's at the house. I saw Mallory's car was out front. It was just on the news. They were just live outside the house.
I know they were.
Well, can you get Tony's number for me so I can call him? Hey, can you give me Tony's number?
I can do that. I don't know what real good it's going to do you at this point.
Well, I'd like to talk to him anyway.
Okay.
Because I called to talk to my mother, and it's a fucking waste. Oh, by the way, I don't want any of you coming up here when I have my first hearing for bond and everything else. Like, don't even fucking waste your time coming up here.
You know, you're making it real tough for anybody to want to try to even assist you with giving you somebody's phone number. You're not even letting me finish.
Well,
Go
ahead.
You're asking me for Tony's phone number so you can call him, and then you immediately want to start cussing towards me and saying, don't even worry about coming up here for all this stuff and trying to cut us out.
I'm not trying to cut anybody out.
I'm not going around and around with you. You know, that's pretty pointless. I'm not going to go through, not going to put everybody else through the same stuff that you've been putting the police and everybody else through for the last 24 hours and the stuff you've been putting mom through for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I'm done with that. So you can tell me what's going on. Christina would love to talk to you because she thinks that you will tell her what's going on. Frankly, we're going to find out. Something, whatever's going on, it's going to be found out. So why not do it now? Save
There's
yourself
nothing to find out. There's absolutely nothing to find out. And that's even what I told the detective.
Well, you know, everything
I have
that you're
no
telling them
clue where
is a
Caylee
lie.
is. If I knew where Caylee was, do you think any of this would be happening? No.
Anyway, you only got a couple minutes for this, so I'm not going to let you completely waste it. Here's Christina. She thinks she can get through.
No, I want Tony's number. I'm not talking to anybody else.
Hello?
Hi, I'm glad everybody's at my house. I'll have to call you later. I'll have to call somebody to get your number. Do me a favor, get my brother back because I need Tony's number.
Okay, is there anything I can do for you?
I'm sitting in jail. There's nothing anybody can do right now.
Well, I'm just trying to be...
Oh, I know you are, honey. I absolutely know that you are, and I appreciate everything that you're trying to do, but I'd like to call Tony. He's not at my house, is he?
No, it's just me and your parents and Lee.
Okay, well, can you do me a favor and get my brother back or get the number from him, please?
Does Tony have anything to do with Caylee?
No. Nothing.
Okay, so why do you want to talk to Tony? You probably don't want to tell me, do you?
Huh?
You probably don't want to tell me, do you?
What do you, I didn't hear what you said.
I said, does Tony have anything to do with Caylee?
No, Tony had nothing to do with Caylee.
Oh, so why do you want to talk to him? You probably don't want to tell me.
He's my boyfriend, and I want to actually try to sit and talk to him because I didn't get a chance to talk to him earlier because I got arrested on a fucking whim today. Because they're blaming me for stuff that I never would do, that I didn't do.
Okay. Well, I'm on your side, you know that, right?
Honey, I know that. I just want to talk to Tony and get a little bit of...
Casey, you have to tell me if you know anything about Caylee. If anything happens to Caylee, Casey, I'll die. You understand? I'll die. If anything happens to that baby.
Oh my God. Calling you guys? A waste. Huge waste. Honey, I love you. You know I would not let anything happen to my daughter. If I knew where she was, this wouldn't be going on.
Well, how come everybody's saying you're lying?
Because nobody's fucking listening to anything that I'm saying. The media completely misconstrued everything that I said. The fucking detectives told them fucking bullshit. They got all of their information from me, yet at the same time, they're twisting stuff. They've already said they're going to pin this on me if they don't find Caylee. They've already said that.
Well,
they arrested me because they said that...
Yeah, because they said that the person that you dropped Caylee with doesn't even exist.
Because, oh, look, they can't find her in the Florida database. She's not just from Florida. If they would actually listen to anything that I would have said to them, they would have had their lead. They maybe could have tracked her down. They haven't listened to a fucking thing that I've said.
Do you know that whoever has Caylee, nobody's going to get away with this? Nobody.
I know nobody's going to get away with it, but at the same time, the only way they're going to find Caylee is if they actually listen to what I'm saying, and I'm trying to help them, and they're not letting me help them.
So how can I help them find her? The best thing you can do, baby, is listen to me.
They need to look up her information in a New York database, in a North Carolina database, other places that she's lived outside of Florida. That's what I told them even again today. I told them that 4 times today. I sat up at the police station, up at the county police station.
But she's the one who has Caylee, or she transferred Caylee to somebody else? Because
honey, I haven't talked to her. I don't know. I haven't talked to her.
How come everybody's saying that you're not upset, that you're not crying, that you show no caring of where Caylee is at all?
I'm not sitting here fucking crying every 2 seconds because I have to stay composed to talk to detectives, to make other phone calls, to do other things. I can't sit here and be crying every 2 seconds like I want to. I can't.
Okay, Casey, don't yell at me. I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
I know you're not.
Trust me.
I know you're on my side. I'm not trying
Nobody
to yell at
is
you.
saying anything bad about you. Your family is with you 100%.
No, they're not. That's bullshit because I just watched the fucking news and heard everything that my mom said. Nobody in my own family is on my side.
Yes, they are. Nobody has said.
They just want Caylee back. That's all they're worried about right now is getting Caylee back. And you know what? That's all I care about right now.
Casey, your daughter, your flesh and blood, your baby girl.
Christina, please, put my brother back on the phone. I don't want to get into this with you right now. I love you, honey, and I'm glad that you're there. Thank you for your help. I will let you know if there's anything that you can do.
You can't tell me anybody that can find Caylee. Nobody.
No, because every number that I've tried, every number that I've called is disconnected. Nothing. I can't get a hold of anybody.
But that girl was the last person to have her?
She was the last person to have her. That was the last time I saw Caylee.
Okay. Lee said he doesn't have Tony's phone number.
Yes, he does. He has Tony's phone number in his phone. He needs to stop fucking lying. He just told me a second ago that he'd give me the number.
So if I go and I get you Tony's number, are you going to finish talking to me?
I will call you tomorrow. I want to talk to him really quick now, and I want to actually try to close my eyes. I haven't slept in 4 days. I have not slept in 4 days.
Listen, if you're going to talk to anybody, you can talk to me, and you know that.
I can talk to you, but at the same time, I know I can talk to Tony, and that's who I want to talk to right now. I haven't gotten a chance to talk to him since this morning. Since all this stuff happened with trying to set up the MySpace, I made the MySpace and the
Do you know the password to that MySpace?
I made all of it.
What's the password to that MySpace so we can see if anybody's written any leads of where Caylee might be?
You can go online and see it. As far as messages, I don't know if anybody's going to be messaging stuff. The password's Cays, C-A-Y-S 234.
What is it?
C-A-Y-S
K
234. Cays 234.
234.
And it's CayleeMarie@yahoo.com.
CayleeMarie@yahoo.com. And
yeah.
It's 234. What's before 234?
Cays 234 is the password.
Cays. How do you spell Cays?
C-A-Y-S.
C-A-Y-S. And then that's the code or whatever?
That's the password to get in. The login is CayleeMarie@yahoo.com. The password is Cays 234.
234. Is it C or K?
C.
Okay. Hold on. Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Okay. Hold on 1 second for me.
Okay. Tony's number?
Yeah.
You ready? 631.
I know that. Yeah.
902.
902.
5443.
5446.
5443.
5443.
Can Tony tell me anything?
Baby, Tony doesn't know anything. And I haven't even talked to him since this morning.
Has Tony seen Caylee?
Tony hasn't seen Caylee since the beginning of June. What was the number again? 904.
631 902.
902.
5443.
5443. 902 5443. Okay, thank you. I will find a way to call you back later. Leave your number at my house with my mom so I can get it, and I can either call you later tonight.
How can I get a hold of you?
I'm at the jail. You can't.
Okay, do you have a way to write my phone number down?
No, I have no way of writing it down. I have to remember Tony's number, 902 5443. I have to try to memorize his number right now.
Okay.
No, I will just leave your number with my mom, and I will try to call you in the morning if I don't get a chance to call you tonight.
So how can I find out information about that girl?
Have Florida? Have them look up a New York license for Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez. They've just been looking up the last name Gonzalez or the last name Fernandez. If they looked up her entire name, they might actually find her. They haven't done that. They haven't listened to anything that I've said.
How do you spell Zenaida?
Zenaida.
Zenaida. Fernandez
Gonzalez.
Where does she live? Because they went and looked at her place.
Christina, baby, you're not telling me anything that I don't already know. Again, I've only been in jail since, about 8:30 tonight. I was with them all day today. I know that. I was with officers pretty much since 9 o'clock last night. Up until today. Like, up until this evening when I came up here.
But you're telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I have no clue where my daughter is. Yeah, that is the truth. That is the absolute truth.
They'll find out, and whoever...
Okay, Christina, I'm hanging up. I need to make this other call before I forget the number, so I will call you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no other questions of Mrs. Anthony.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to recess for lunch at this time. We're going to be in recess until 1:30. Please remember all of my previous admonitions. Do not discuss this case among yourselves nor with anyone else. Any additional instructions on behalf of the state or the defense?
No, sir.
Okay, members of the jury may be excused for lunch.